Hi everybody and welcome to the Rubbin' is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show, brought to you by FantasyDonks.com, your one-stop shop for anything you need to know to start playing daily fantasy. I'm Sean Big Papa Williams.
I'm Jamie the Lear Jet Lear.
And
finally back.
Yes, welcome back, Lear. We missed you last week. And we'll be breaking down this week's Quicken Loans 400 at Michigan International Speedway. But before we get to breaking down this week's race, let's do last week's recap where it helps you keep us honest about our picks and the suggestions we make for your plays. Let's start off with the winning lineup. It was a multi-way tie, as we've seen the past couple of weeks in NASCAR. Really, to be honest, I think DraftKings needs to address this problem, possibly by adding another driver to the mix, so you have a little bit more variance. Maybe if they adjusted the salaries a little bit.
Yeah, it's just getting to a point where, you know, if you're spending all this money and you want to get into these contests and you want to obviously make a little bit on winning first, you're going to be splitting it with all these other people, and it's real frustrating. Right. So I think once they get all these kinks and bugs and stuff worked out on that, then they're going to get to a point where they're going to make some adjustments, because I mean, just having 27 people or something tied for first place just is not cool.
Right. Well, those people tied with the lineup totaling 293.75 points. It was anchored by Martin Truex Jr., who scored 94.75 points.
My pick last week.
Lear gave you that pick. It was one of Lear's fire picks that he had last week. The second pick that they all had was Kevin Harvick at 84.5. As we said last week, remember, fade Harvick at your own risk. I think that's...
Yeah, I mean, the guy's going to be dominant every single race, but... as we always say, he's going to cost you the most money. Right.
And you'll notice that these guys did a studs-duds lineup, very similar to what I recommended as an approach week one. His next racer was Kyle Larson with 45 points. Then he had Ty Dillon, who was one of my recommendations.
Yeah, nice work on that one, man.
35.75. And his last pick was Allgaier at 33.75. And basically, that rounded out their picks, put together that winning lineup. Anything that we didn't see there that you noticed?
I mean, obviously, you just talked about how he did stud and dud. You know, totally sold out on Kevin Harvick and then also Martin Truex. But Martin Truex was at a decent price last week. As you see this week, he's going to go up in price because the guy just keeps dominating.
Oh yeah, dude, he's really expensive this week.
So it's going to be one of those where I don't think you're going to be able to, you know, try to get a lineup like that again. But also the guy that won it chose the correct lower tier guys to get into your lineup, to fit them in there, that are going to maximize the most points for you.
And that's what's important when you do the studs and duds. Yeah. Like, you have to hit on the studs and you have to hit on the duds.
Yeah.
You miss either one of those and you're not going to be placing very high. But like we said, it's a fairly predictable lineup. Good job to all those people that took it down. But with that said, I think we've got last week's recap taken care of. Oh, also, I forgot about a couple things. Remember, we also hit the Earnhardt pick.
Yeah, it was a good pick by you, the guy that you loved. He scored 50 points last week. You know, and the guy was finishing up in the top of the race. So, you know, 50 points for his price point. I believe it was about what, 12,100.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So if you had that guy, I know he costs a lot of money, but he also, you know, gave you a lot of points too. But you're also right on your going to the garage pick with Ricky Stenhouse.
Yes.
He finished with negative points.
Negative 23.5, actually.
23.5 negative points, and he wrecked in the race and definitely went to the garage. So you were definitely correct on that one.
Well, and you were right about Keselowski. Right? Last week?
Yeah. I told everybody stay away from Brad Keselowski. He finished the race 17th. Started 7th. He only scored 18 points for the whole race last week at the Exalta 400, and his salary was $11,700. So definitely not worth the money.
Yeah, that's just not going to get it done for you.
On that guy. So
we also had that. I also managed to somehow hit that Ty Dillon pick. Started 29th, finished 18th, racked up good points. You saw that he was on that winning team.
Yeah, 35.75 points.
And last but not least, unfortunately, your lock pick didn't quite get your guarantee that you gave us last week.
Well, you know, sometimes you're gonna pay and be right on things, and other times you're gonna be off.
Oh, dude, especially in daily fantasy.
I would love to say that I was kind of right there in the middle because Kyle Busch, he was 12% owned in the contest. He finished 9th place, so he got a top 10 finish. 37.5 points last week at $11,000. So, you know, definitely for the money, you know, you got some points out of him. He wasn't negative, and he finished.
Right. And it helped you cash one of your teams. So, that was important. Remember, like, sometimes it's not, like, sometimes it's always great to get a win, right? Yeah. We always want to get the big bucks. But it's important to hit that cash line and just let you have that confidence to know that you're doing the right things.
Right.
That you're seeing the action correctly and making the right
and that our picks are actually coming to fruition.
Right. You know, hey. Helping people make money.
Yeah, like, exactly. Hopefully making you some money.
That's what we want to do for you guys. But with that said, let's move on to the Quicken Loans 400 for this week at Michigan International Speedway. And with the track breakdown and weather report, Lear has that for us.
All right, thanks, Papa. So this week we're racing the Quicken Loans 400. It's at Brooklyn, Michigan. And the race is 200 laps. It's a 2-mile track. On the degree of as far as the turns, it's 18-degree turns. So these guys are going to have the ability to 3-4 different grooves that they'll be able to use throughout the duration of the race. Last year in this race, there were 13 guys that led laps in this race because there were 8 or more cautions. So there's going to be a lot of stop-starts. Plus, the weather this week is going to be 82 degrees, 60% chance of rain. Right. So,
not just rain, but thunderstorms.
Yeah, thunderstorms all weekend. People that are going to be watching the race today will see it in the Xfinity Series. You know, there's going to be some clouds and definitely some rain for the possibility for the race. And that's going to play a factor into who's going to come down and win this race because, you know, they might even have to stop it early. And the guys who were up front, and when they stop it, those are the guys that win the race. So, you know, you got to be conscientious of that for sure.
Right. So it might make sense with the possibility of a rain-shortened race to maybe stack it as best you can the top part of the race.
Yeah, qualifiers.
Hoping those guys have laps led points, like in case of a shortened race. I think that's probably a really smart idea there. With that said, in the track breakdown, let's go to everybody's favorite segment, which is who's going to be burning rubber this week. And as always, we like to give you the disclaimer: Harvick and Johnson are superstars in the sport. Fade them at your own risk. Good luck trying to put together lineups with them that doesn't go 2 studs and 3 duds. Yeah. That's basically what you're handcuffed into doing with those 2 guys' price points. I
haven't tried it yet, but I would love to see if we could do Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, and then the rest of the field team. I haven't actually tried it yet, but I don't think it's even going to be fiscally possible under the $50,000.
I believe you can spend $7,100 on the last 3 guys.
All right. But you're fishing definitely if you're going to be choosing that route as your strategy.
All right, Lear, who's your first pick to burn rubber this week?
Burner rubber this week, we're going to go with a guy. He drives a Toyota for JGR, Joe Gibbs Racing. Joey Logano in the 22 Pennzoil. I really, really, really like this guy this week. He's starting. He qualified in the 11th spot. He finished last week with 54 points. So I know that was a different racetrack, but he's definitely got some momentum going into this week. He's at a price point of $11,500 last week. This week, he actually went down in cost. He is $11,200, and with him going down in price, that definitely should have a lot more ownership for people in the different contests this week. But I definitely love Joey Logano this week. He led 29 laps of this race last year. 29.
And if it gets weather shortened, that's going to be a very important step.
And, you know, he started 9th last year. But this year, he's going to be starting in the 11th position. But I just, out of all the Toyotas, I really, really like Joey Logano this week, and I think he is going to be one of the guys that is going to finish in the top 5. This is my guy this week. This is my Kyle Busch of last week. But I definitely feel and have just a huge inkling that Joey Logano is definitely going to have a chance to win this race, but definitely finish in the top 5 of this race.
Nice. My first pick of who's burning rubber this week is Casey Kane. It should surprise no one, as we've talked the possibility of having a rain-shortened race. He is 10,800 on DraftKings. I think he's just too cheap not to put on your team as the pole sitter. He won the pole. He's been running near the top during practices. His average speeds look good. He's also at the same, at Casey Kane's same price as Kyle Busch, who had the best 5-lap average. I'm giving you kind of a little twofer here, a little bit of a teaser of what you're going to see in my team a little bit later. I like both those guys this week, but like in a rain shortened race, Casey Kane is in my opinion, a great pick in that great Clips car.
Yeah, I love me some Casey Kane. The guy is qualified first. He's going to have an opportunity to win this race, and Hendrick cars, I don't know why. Last year, the 4 of them finished in the top 7. So, yeah. I mean, they always run strong here at Michigan International Speedway. So, I definitely like Casey Kane. I think he'll have a strong day all day tomorrow. All
right, Lear, who's your second burning rubber pick?
My second burning rubber guy is Landon Castle. Now, you guys out there might be scratching your head saying, Landon Castle?
I know I was when you threw it out.
You know, sometimes you just got to dig deep down into these lineups and especially look for guys of value, especially using the qualifying as a tool to determine who you're going to pick as far as some of the guys that you want to put on your team.
Now, he is $7,300 this week on DraftKings,
He is $7,300. He's starting 29th out of 43 cars. And last week, you know, he scored 28 points. He cost $7,200 last week. He started 32nd. He finished 25th. So, you know, he's a cost-effective guy that has great potential to score positive points. And I'm going to go ahead and predict that, throwing a wreck out of there. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But, you know, if he is in the traffic most of the time in the back, I have a great feeling that he's going to be moving up throughout the race, especially if there's going to be a lot of starts and stops. Mm-hmm. And then also, I'm going to guarantee he's going to come back again with another strong week this week, and he's going to score, if not at the same amount of 28 last week, or even more this week.
Yeah, this is one thing I noticed when I was looking at his stats. He is the fastest of the bottom tier group, and that's important because he's not going to fall back any unless there's a wreck, right? Which, we'll be honest, you can't predict really wrecks. So unless that happens, he should be able to move up. He's not going to cost you any points. And we talked about in the past weeks how important it is that you don't manage to lose points, that you want a guy that has the ability to only move up, not backwards.
Yeah, and get you positive points. That's the most important part, especially when you're going through your lineup and you're picking your 5 drivers. You got to have a guy that's going to be down there in this 7,000, 7,100, 72, 73.
You have to reach for the bottom.
This guy is $7,300. He's starting 29th. He has the ability to move up, score points, and I just feel that he is gonna show up this week and give you some good positive points. And you could even see that last week, with the guy that won the contest. They had to pick some guys down there later in the
you had to dig for it, and they found him.
Yeah.
So my second burning rubber pick of the day is Kyle Larson. He is 10,100. He qualified 16th. And the main reason why I liked him and why I started looking at him was his price. But then I noticed in practice yesterday he was running really well. And today he had the best 10-lap average of anyone out on the practice track, out running practice laps. I love Kyle Larson at this price point with the upside and the fact that he has speed and can get points for the fastest laps. I mean, that's the trifecta. He can move up, he can get the points for fastest laps, and might even lead some laps. I love his price point this week.
Kyle Larson, we've talked about him in these shows, and I missed last week, so obviously I didn't get a chance to talk about Kyle Larson like I said the week before that I wasn't going to talk about Kyle Larson. But I don't know. I'm not a Kyle Larson fan. I know he qualified 16th, and the guy scored 40-some points last week. Okay, let's be honest here. I'm just kind of biased against Kyle Larson. Don't take it, Kyle. Personal Kyle. I know that maybe you might use it as some motivation.
Clearly, he's a fan of the show.
Hopefully, but I just don't like the team that he's on. Ganassi Racing, and I'm not a fan. He did finish good here last year at the Michigan International Speedway for the Quicken Loans 400, but I don't see it. I think that in my own personal opinion, I feel like he's going to be back in the 20th range somewhere in there, and even possibly
Fair
get caught in a wreck.
And in previous weeks, like I said, sometimes he overqualifies. I don't feel that the 16th is one of those overqualifying.
Yeah, he's right in the middle of the pack.
It's not like when he qualifies in the top 5 and you're like, dude, really? You're not going to hang there all day.
No.
But between qualifying down in the middle and also having the fastest laps, that's why I'm there. And like I said, I totally understand why you'd want to fade him. It's okay, but that's my pick. And instead of burning rubber, Lear's more leaning that Larson might be going to the garage, which is a great segue to the going to the garage segment. We'll start off with Lear's pick. Who do you got going to the garage this week, bro?
All right. Well, this guy is he's also on the JGR team. So I do like one of their drivers, which is Joey Logano. But my other driver that I just do not like this week, and he had kind of a bad week last week a little bit, but number 11, Denny Hamlin. He qualified 13th this week. His price point is pretty good. I will give him that. It's $10,900.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right there in the thick of it with all the other drivers. He just has just as much potential to move up and even leave some laps in this race. But based on the history of where he finished 29th here last year. So I just, based off the history of the track, the driver, where he's starting at, and I just, for some reason,
the fact he spun out this morning and they thought they were going to have to use a backup car.
Forgot about that. Yeah. So even practice qualifying, he spins out. So even just imagine what he's going to be doing when he's got traffic around him this week with those 3 and 4 grooves. So I'm off of the Denny Hamlin train this week. My personal pick: do not play Denny Hamlin this week.
All right, my pick for who's going to the garage this week is Kurt Busch. 12,300. He's just way too expensive for what he is, and that's before I get into why you should really hate him and avoid him this week. Look, he wrecked in the first round of practice. They're on the backup car. The way DraftKings scoring goes down, this is very important to know. It's based solely off his qualifying position, not off the fact that he's now starting from the back of the field with the backup car.
Right.
So automatically, you are starting 17 points down.
Negative.
Like, once that green flag drops, if you've paid $12,300 for Kurt Busch, you are automatically 17 points down. Then you will not accrue a position gained until he gets back up to his qualifying position.
Yeah.
And then and only then, if that happens, do you start gaining points. At that price tag, it was a pass to begin with, but now, there's just no way.
Yeah.
Please fade him. If he surprises the world, fair enough. But the odds, the analysis say you do not want a piece of Kurt Busch this week.
I am not playing any Kurt Busch this week. Just as far as his price point, $12,300. Just way too expensive for the other guys that you can get who have opportunity this week. So I'm definitely with you on that.
All those guys that don't start off negative 17.
Exactly. So when you got that price point plus those negative points starting out the race.
Oh man, yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Now I will tell our viewers this. It is your chance to get on an island, I believe.
Yes. Oh, yeah. If you want to separate yourself from, if you're playing a GPP, a guaranteed prize pool, I know we haven't really talked much about some of the contests on DraftKings. There's GPPs, guaranteed prize pools. Those are the big pools with a lot of people with the contests. And then there's 50-50s. You just have to finish 50% into the total prize pool, which is maybe 20 players, 30 players. And then you also have heads up, where you're just playing against one-on-one against one person, and the better lineup wins the race or the contest, excuse me. So, I've kind of going off a little bit here, but with the GPPs, you're definitely a player like this with Kurt Busch. I don't think a lot of people are going to be on him, especially at that price point and what's happened to him. But in a GPP, if this guy comes and he performs and he wins this race, that is going to separate you from every single other player in this contest. But as far as the 50-50s go, I've kind of come to find out that I really like playing the 50-50s. And the reason why is I've been cashing every single week in the 50-50s. And the reason is as long as you pick a strong lineup and you're picking guys that are definitely going to finish high, it's guaranteed money, man.
Nice. Yeah, see, I went with the other approach. Like, I went the GPP approach, and it hasn't been that successful thus far. But until I got a better feel for how the scoring system worked and stuff, I just wanted to throw the darts, the high risk, high reward, because I figured the way NASCAR is breaking down mostly right now, it's sort of high risk, high reward.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one's used to the scoring system yet.
Right.
You know?
And it's still, everybody's still learning about how everything's are scored. Also, strategic advantages that people can get. And just, you know, using your strategies like we talked about studs, duds, and then, you know, a couple weeks ago we just did the middle kind of guys, and it paid off. So
or this week what we recommended, which is one of the, like, take as many of the top drivers as you can qualify wise, because of a rain shortened race. Like, that's also another one of the strategies. And then we've also talked in previous weeks about that middle approach strategy where you just get everybody you can at the middle price range. No, you don't have any superstars, but you don't have anybody that's terrible, and that has also worked one of the 3 weeks so far. So,
and it's going to change every single race, and depending on who qualifies where and what they cost as far as their DraftKings salary. But that strategy is going to be different every single week. You can't go with the same strategy week after week after week after week. You have to change yourself up, and that's when you're going to find yourself.
Just like these guys have to adapt to a different track every week. You have to adapt to that it's a different race every week. With that said, I think it's time for us to move into the lineup segment, where you get to see one of the lineups that Lear and I have in the contest on DraftKings. We're both in the $5 lug nut, and that's where you'll see this contest. I believe we're both in some other contests as well. Just before, while Lear's getting ready for that, just to tell you about a couple of the other fun contests that DraftKings is doing this week as part of their $3.6 million Summer Games Series. We have a $100 main event that pays out $75,000 in prize pool. I'm not bold enough yet to play $100 on NASCAR. I can't put
$100 in on one contest yet,
but I am definitely in the $10 the Summer Game 47. It's a $40,000 checker flag, $40,000 in the guaranteed prize pool, and they have a $1 one that's a lot of fun that I've got multiple
prize point.
Yeah, I've got multiple entries in the dollar. It has a $20,000 prize pool, and I believe pays a few grand to first place, so that would be a nice payday on $1.
Yeah, if you don't have to share it with 50 people.
Exactly.
So,
all right, Lear. So tell us your lineup this week to take down those thousands of dollars with a $1 investment.
All right. So before I get started, I was kind of interchanneling my own Eric Church today with the hat and the glasses. So now I'm going to transition over to that movie way back when we were kids, called Over the Top. Little Sylvester Stallone action, over
the top, baby.
So for my team, in order for me
across the sky.
Yes. In order for me to have my team do what it needs to do, I just went over the top there. And I hope it proves to be right. So we'll start out. Obviously, you guys already know a couple of my drivers. They're the same ones that I do on my Burn and Rubber segment. First one is Joey Logano. His cost is $11,200. Like I said, I just have a really good feeling about this guy this week. I think he's starting 11th. He's going to lead some laps in this race. There's going to be a lot of stops and starts. I don't know how many wrecks are going to be, and also how, as far as the rain plays a part into it, but there definitely going to be some stops and starts, and there's going to be a lot of strategy on these guys too, because a lot of them too will take the strategy, instead of coming in for tires and coming in for fuel, they're going to stay out there and they're going to get up towards the front and hope for another caution to come out. And there's going to be so much change going on. So my driver, I just love Joey Logano this week.
See, and the only problem I have with Joey Logano this week is I think all your analysis is spot on. I just had drivers that I like at a little bit more expensive or just a little bit less expensive that helped me put together a team that I like the layout of my team a little bit better. I totally agree with the Logano pick. It's just it wasn't working with the way my head was seeing the race break down. But I like that pick. Who's your next driver, bro?
So the next one, second guy that was on my Burn and Rubber, which is Landon Castle. He's coming in at $7,300. This guy is going to be your best value play of the weekend. I guarantee you he's going to finish, he's going to start 29th, and he's going to finish, I guarantee, probably in the top of the 20s. So maybe, 21, 22, 20, 19, 18, somewhere in there. He's going to get some pass differential points, but I guarantee you he's going to have the same amount of points as he did last week, 28 or better. So I am all about that Landon Castle this week, and I'm putting him in mostly all single of my lineups, just like a lot of people were into the Ty Dillon last week as well.
Yeah, they really were.
And moving on to my third driver, which is Ty Dillon at 7,700.
Of course it is.
You know, he's also he's starting 22nd. He qualified 22nd, so he has a good chance of moving up this week. I know he started way late last week, you know, in the 30s, and a lot of people were all over that for his pass differential. But I really like Ty Dillon this week, especially at his price point, $7,700. He's going to be one of those that are definitely going to give you some positive points and is going to be up there in the teens, 20s.
And in the practices, he has been fast on the track. He he looks really good. I think he's motivated coming off moving up and a decent finish last week.
And him and his brother, they finished in the late teens last week, you know, back to back. So hopefully that's some more motivation.
And with him, every race that he does well is another race on this circuit. You know, like it means that he's going to be doing both.
Getting
races.
More experience and getting him more exposed to all these tracks. So my fourth driver is the same guy that won this race last year, Jimmy Johnson in the Lowe's number 48. Last year, Jimmy Johnson was the winner of the race. Same thing, strategy came into play in 2014. But he led 39 laps last year here at the Quicken Loans 400. And, you know, he's just going to have the ability to be up there. He qualified this week at the 8th spot again. So, you know, he's going to be up there. He's going to have the chance to lead a lot of laps. Last month, he's been on fire.
That's true.
Hendrick Motorsports, those guys always do good at this track. Last year, like I already said, 4 of them finished in the top 7. Just going to get you some points. And I know it costs a lot of money, $13,000. But just like we saw last week, those guys that won those contests, they went with Kevin Harvick, who also was the most expensive guy since the inception of DraftKings Fantasy NASCAR. So sticking with you always got to have one of the main guys in your lineup, and Jimmy Johnson is my guy this week that I'm sticking with.
And with doing Castle and Dillon, like, it gives you enough salary to reach up and grab Johnson.
Yeah.
I have zero issues there. I totally get where your head's at. Who's your next pick?
And my next driver, I don't know why, but even before we get to the show, like Papa and I will always do a little pre-show discussion. And we always seem to find one driver that we always mix together that, you know, we both like. And this week, going back to our first video that we made, Casey Kane. The guy qualified first. He's also a Hendrick driver. He's going to have the ability to lead some laps this race and get you some points up there. And also, I have a really good feeling. He finished in the top 5 here last year. I believe he was 5th last year in 2014. Right. So I just really like Casey Kane to round out those 5 guys that I have in my lineup, and thought I could get in there on that $50,000 salary cap. And you know, he's only 10,800, so his percentage zone's probably going to be through the roof. But like we've said in the past, if you have the same guys, even if they're really percentage highly owned, at least you're starting here at the even level, and you're not starting and trying to make up ground from down here.
Right. Well, and dude, that's just a sexy lineup. It's probably got a good chance to win you good money this week. Well, that's the main thing I think that you need to go after when you're setting up a lineup. You need to commit to a strategy, understand why you're committing to that strategy, and just be comfortable with it. If it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. That's daily fantasy. But,
and by the way, that's my GPP lineup. For my 50-50s, I'm going to have a little bit of a different lineup just because I want to get something that's going to be more concrete and something that I know will finish in the top 50% of that contest.
Fair enough. The lineup I decided to go with, as you all know, I was clearly on Kane as well. Just cross-play all layers analysis. I don't think we need to rehash how much we love Casey Kane. It's like the 4th time we've talked about him today. My second pick is Kyle Larson. Just use all the analysis I gave you earlier. Like I said, Lear really doesn't like Larson this week. I do. He keeps, like, anytime a guy is leading, like, has the fastest 10 laps, like, average, and anytime he's moving up in practice, that's usually a good sign. I just, at that price point at 10-1, like, I just couldn't pass on it.
Definitely a good price point. I mean, I won't disagree with you there. The guy scored like 40 points, over 40 points last week. Good price point. Guy's going to probably produce you some points, but I just have a feeling this week he's going to go that way since he's been doing so well the last couple of weeks.
Fair enough. Fair
so, you know, it's just like anything else. At some point, something's going to change.
Or he's just become a beast driver, and you're going to have to accept that.
I don't think I can.
All right, guys. My next pick is Kyle Busch. As you notice, I stayed away from Kurt. But I will roll with Kyle this week at a 10-8 price tag. He looks really good. He's one of those cars that's moving really fast in practice. Remember, I gave you that little, like, basically two for there that is a little bit of a hint that I was going to be using him on this lineup. Fastest 5-lap average in practice, looks really good, moving up in the field. I love where he starts. This is just the perfect combination for me of what you want from these drivers and what could be a thunderstorm shortened race. The next,
sorry, just to get in on some Kyle Busch. You guys know how I feel about Kyle Busch. I love Kyle Busch. I think he's Rowdy's back. He wants to make his presence known. I didn't pick him on my lineup this week, but at a 10,800 price point, you know, he's qualified 10th, so he's going to have the ability to get up there and score you some points, a little bit of pass differential. And I don't know. I like Kyle Busch.
And he's in not only just the M&M's car, but the neon green, crispy M&Ms. Bring back the crispy M&Ms of the 90s.
Maybe the John Deere green hat, you know, will play a little part of that too.
There you go. There you go. My next driver is Jeff Gordon. I just cannot get off this guy in his farewell tour. I know he let me down last week.
28 points. I mean, I was on him too last week. He scored 28. He started up high in the field. He started 4th and finished in the early 20s. But, you know, and his price point was, you know, over 11,000 last week. And this week, I'm not on the Jeff Gordon train. I like him, but I just, I'm definitely not going to be playing any Jeff Gordon this week. So.
But look, he qualified 6th. We talked about it being a range shortened race. This lineup gives me the most power up front and allows me to have a lot of guys that should have fastest laps, most laps led, to get out in front of the storm.
Clean air. They want that clean air. If they get that clean air, you know, they can go as far as they want to.
Michigan sort of functions at the banking as almost like a restrictor plate race. There's a lot of grouping, and there's, like you said, a propensity for accidents to happen. So if you can get those guys in the front that are out in the clean air, not dealing with traffic, like, you have a better chance of surviving, which is really important in a race like this. That's why I was all over Jeff Gordon this week. And I think he's due for a win on his farewell tour this year. Like,
I think eventually Jeff Gordon will win a race. Not this week. Not this week.
All right. And my bottom tier pick to help round out the team, because I've got 4 studs on this lineup. Right. I went with Alex Bowman. I realize he's at the bottom tier. I wish I had 7,300 left over so I could go with your guy.
Landon Castle, baby.
But unfortunately,
get on that train.
Unfortunately, I don't have 7,300. I have 7,200. So what I did was I went through and I took Bowman, who I think is one of the fastest guys in that bottom group. He qualified well. He has the ability to move up. Shouldn't move back any. He's a solid racer, and every week I've played him so far, he's put up at least 30 points and done his job. So
I think he's going to have the ability to get some passing there towards the bottom. You know, if I had to take somebody, I would not take Bowman. But you know, as far as a person that fits in well into your lineup, and you have to obviously pick somebody that fits in your salary. Out of all those guys down there towards the bottom, I definitely would go with Alex Bowman as well.
But like. So that rounds out my lineup of Bowman, Busch, Gordon, Kane, and Larson. Like I said, you'll see it in the $5. I think I like this lineup so much, I'm probably throwing it in the $10 and the $1 as well.
Nice.
And I'm sure you'll see several of Lear's lineups in there.
Just to reiterate my lineup again, since Papa did, Landon Castle, Ty Dillon, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane, Joey Logano, baby. Let's get it done, boys.
All right. Now we're going to move to a new segment that we had this week, and we're going to continue it out. It's called the Viewer Question segment. If you have a question for us about the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR show, feel free to submit your questions or contact us on either Twitter. You can get me at BigPapaDB8.
I'm at Jamie Lear, Liehr, JAMIE,
Or you can hit up the site's Twitter at fantasydonks.com,
baby.
You can also submit questions on the site. You can also submit them on our YouTube page or even on Facebook to either one of us or the Facebook group. And with that said, this week's question comes from Rowdy Burns of Hilton Head, North Carolina. And Rowdy wanted to know, how much time do you guys spend putting together your lineups? Lear, would you answer this question for Rowdy?
Well, Rowdy, I'm glad you're a fan of the show. I definitely love your racing when I was a kid, so for sure.
That Exxon car was,
man, it was fast.
Yes, it was.
So, but you know, as far as how much time I spend, I actually do quite a bit of research throughout the week. Each night I'll do a little bit, and then as I get towards the latter part of the week on Friday night, I'll definitely solidify my lineup before we do our show. And then obviously, you know, you've got to tinker around with the salary, who's moved up, who's moved down, as far as the history at the track that they're going to race this week, and all that information. So, and definitely too, after Friday, you obviously get a more of an idea of where they qualified at, so you know where they're going to start at. So I definitely don't pick my lineup until Friday, but I definitely do some research throughout every single day of the week for sure.
Yeah. As far as it goes, like I do all the sports basically, and so I'm constantly spending hours and hours. I love the weekly sports like NASCAR because I can incrementally do my research over the course of the week. Like, you know, like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And then usually I commit a couple of hours to just turning on some good tunes or some good race car shows in the background for NASCAR, and that I've DVR'd for during the week, and just plow through, start doing all my analysis, list out all the drivers I like, make a list of who I don't like, start compiling with the salaries, and just go from there. I'd say probably a couple 3 hours in that block, and another hour or so during the week, just periodically.
I think one thing that definitely helps me out too is watching last year's race in complete from beginning to end, watching the whole entire race, see how it formatted, how it played itself out, you know, and who finished where and where they all started. So that definitely helps me out a lot too.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it really does. With that said, thank you, Rowdy, for your question.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Glad you're a fan of the show.
Yeah,
and with that said, feel free to like us, favorite us, support us on all the different social media sites out there.
Share it with your friends.
Yes. Remember to support fantasydonks.com. It's only through their support that we can do shows like this for free to you, and help try to build the fantasy community, especially in NASCAR, this new sport.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun so far.
Love it.
With that said, if we're not winning any money this week, we hope it's you, and somehow we hope we helped. Have a great day, guys.
I'm Jamie Learjet Lear.
And I'm Sean Big Papa Williams, and we're out.
And you guys have a great weekend, okay?